In this episode, we're going to do a gameplay / rundown of how Vanagard works. Skull.
Skull.
You will know me as Skull, the Norn.
Welcome back, travelers, to another Viking loot video. If you guys do want to see an unboxing, we already have that on our channel. You guys can check it. It's going to be at the end of our video. You guys will be linked to it as well in our description or in the comments down below. So today, I am joined by Mr. Andrew Valkowskis.
And I'm here with Ken, and we're going to be playing a collaborative storytelling game. So Vanagard is, like most of our games, bilingual. So you're going to find both French rules and English rules. Let's put the French rules aside for now. And what we're going to have are different types of anthropomorphic animals. So the setting of Vanagard during the Norse creation myths at the very beginning of time. So there's no need to know any of the Norse mythology when you're telling a story because there's nothing to worry about. There's no history. What we're playing are Freya's familiars. So these are the Vanfolk, and you get to choose one of these many colorful creatures, like, and we've got our handy sky cam here to show these off. We've got the bear, the rabbit, the cat, the serpent, the stag, the boar, the goat, the raven, and the squirrel or wolf. And each one of them has different types of talents that are good at. So to give you a quick summary of the talents.
Hopefully you guys can see that.
There you go.
There you go. You guys can see this real quick. Then we're going to bring it back down.
All right.
Focus back down there.
Oh.
There you go.
And then what we have are the 6 different talents in the game. So you've got chase, play, hunt, speak wise, lead, and work. And that's because when your characters are going to go out throughout the worlds and adventure and basically explore all of the 9 worlds that are brand new and nascent upon the world tree, they're going to be faced with challenges. And like any challenge, we're going to need a certain talent pool to overcome them. The animals are good at certain types of talents by default. And each one of these characters is also going to have 6 of these talent cards to round out their abilities. So this is kind of the randomizer in the game, where when you enter a challenge, you're going to be drawing 2 cards at random from your deck of 6 talent cards. And that's because the destiny of each character is 2. So draw 2 cards. Essence is 6 to begin with. And obviously, just like a role-playing game, if you play this over and over and want to have like a character that kind of grows and progresses, then these numbers are going to go up.
And the cool thing is you can actually make your own character if you want. In the rules, we actually show you how to make your own characters. So that's the really cool thing. You don't have to use this, but why not use them? You know, you already have them pre-made, some great artwork. We would actually just pick a character each right now.
Yeah, sure. I'll just grab the raven.
I like the squirrel.
Excellent. So we'll put the rest away.
Yes.
Now, the next component that we're going to be looking at are the story chapter cards. And the way these work are, let's say Ken's the first storyteller.
Yes.
He would flip over one of these cards, and he's going to use this image as inspiration in terms of the tale he wants to tell. And this looks like Fenrir or some wolf that's sitting under a stylized tree.
So the cool thing about this is that it's great artwork. As you guys can see, we can show you some of the artworks that we have. It's absolutely stunning. You don't actually have to use this if you don't want to. It's just inspiration. What is very important is the little rune on the bottom here. Basically, this is going to not determine the difficulty level, but it will increase its difficulty level in the future as we reveal the runes, which will reveal the difficulty level of the game. Now, there is different types of runes. So we have a regular rune set, which is basically the same rune set we use in most of our games, if not all of our games, minus maybe like the card games. So there is 3 types. As you will see, we have 3 colors, which I'm missing only one.
Green runes, blue runes, and red runes.
Bang.
Whenever you have to do a challenge for one of these scenes, these chapter cards, the storyteller, or he'll offer the bag to the players to pull out 1 rune at random.
Exactly.
If you pull out a green rune, it means the challenge is 1. You need 1 of a certain talent. Blue means 2, red means 3. If they match any of the chapter cards that have already been pulled, so for example, if we pulled these runes and this had been the previous chapter, let's say I told this chapter and now it's going to be on Ken to tell this chapter, and we pulled this rune, well, because there's a match, it means you're going to pull 1 extra rune for this challenge. So if you can imagine, the longer the story, the harder the challenge is.
For example, you can actually be very hard because you can draw a P, and then you can draw this up arrow, and then afterwards you can draw another red, so that difficulty level will become 7.
Yeah.
Now, we have to explain how you can succeed each of these levels or so.
One thing that you guys are all going to get are 2 helper tokens. So every single one of the characters has the ability to help other characters at the table by spending one of their 2 helper tokens. And now we're going to draw. Each character is going to have 6 random talent cards. You could also choose your own talents, but it's really up to you guys at your game table on how you want to play. Do you want to be very random, or do you want to have complete creative control of how your character is built?
I'm looking through these cards and I can see that there's the ability, but there's also a rune on the bottom. So what are these runes on the bottom that you guys can see? I don't know if you guys can see that right here on the bottom. What are these runes on the bottom?
So if your rune on your talent card that you're going to be using matches the chapter card, it's like you gain 1 more success. So the card would be worth, let's say, 2 hunt in the case of this card that I'm holding.
All right. So let's say in this situation, I'm the storyteller. And I'm like, all right, flip this card. I'm like, all right, it's Fenrir. He's sleeping right now. You want to try and pass through him without waking him up. What do you do?
Okay, so Ken will be telling the story now. It means everyone else at the table would be playing their characters. Once Ken has finished his chapter, the storyteller will rotate to the next player, and Ken will pick up his character and join the story. So right now, I'm the only one in the scene. I need to get past Fenrir, so I'm guessing what am I going to have to use? Probably out of the 6, maybe Chase to run through quickly without getting noticed.
Cool thing is that based on how you tell your story, you can essentially kind of frame it however you want it to be. You know, it can be like lead, I'm going to lead the way, you know. Any way you tell your story, if you can convince the storyteller that you're using that talent with the way you're saying it, you can do so. So in this case, he's going to be using
I'll
Chase.
probably try to chase,
Okay.
right? So it's going to be for speed. Chase is a talent that deals with your dexterity, with your speed. And so what this Raven's going to want to do is fly past Fenrir to get into, let's say, what is he guarding? Something, some sort of treasure that Freya sent me to go get?
Yes, exactly.
All right, so I'm going to draw 2 cards at random. So I got a chase and a hunt. I check if any of the runes match the scene. It does not. So I have 1 success for chase. But now we have to figure out how difficult was that chase.
All right, so let's draw from the bag of rune. I'm going to go bang. Let's say just, for this case, we're going to go ahead and draw just 1 green.
Okay, so we drew 1 green at random. I needed only 1 success. Because I drew 1 chase, I made it. And I'd also be able to take a look at some of these talents. If we're playing less than 5 players, I get access to the first 2 talents. If we're playing less than 3 players, which is the case here, I would have access to all 3 of these talents on the card. So this is just to equalize the table and the probabilities of success based on the number of players and the talents available to them. Ken would then narrate, you know, how I got past Fenrir, ended up getting the treasure, what the treasure was, and then he would say, okay, so you guys completed the scene, the challenge in the scene. So now let's quickly go over how I gain fortune and fame.
Yes.
Right? So fame 5 means I need to get 5 fortune to level up. As soon as I've got 5 fortune, I can buy either a spell or a treasure card. And we'll get to that later in the video. But because I just won this and I faced 1 rune worth of challenges, like if this was the rune, it's not 2 fortune, this is 1 fortune because it's 1 physical rune.
Yeah, it's 1 per rune that's drawn.
Because I faced it, it doesn't matter if I succeed or not, I gain 1 fortune. All right, so I gain 1 fortune, and then these guys get shuffled back into here.
Cool.
All right, so now it's my turn to tell the story.
Yes.
And so you managed to get into the cave that Fenrir was guarding.
Yes.
And inside there, you need to get Ymir's tooth. It's a magical tooth. Second chapter of the story is the knights there have actually run off with the treasure you were looking for. So you're going to need to catch up to these guys. And you are a squirrel, so you leap from tree to tree and you manage to flag them down. But now you're going to have to sweet talk them into giving you the treasure.
Okay.
So I think you're going to have to either
wise,
use speak wise maybe, unless you can find another way to trick them into giving you the treasure.
So I can use Speakwise, but can I also draw from my deck as well and use the Speakwise as well?
You would have 1 access to Speakwise already.
Okay.
So you'd have 1 success here.
So I can try to grab another one from my deck.
Yes.
But do I know what's in my deck? Did I look through my deck already before?
You should know, exactly.
Okay.
Like everyone should know how many of each.
So you guys can
talent they
see
have.
I have mostly Hunt. So if I want, I can use Hunt, be like, I'm chasing after them.
You say, forget about,
Yeah.
I'm talking to them. I'm going to like beat them up
Yeah,
and take it from them.
Exactly.
So you're going to hunt.
I'm going to hunt. But in that situation, you would decide, do you want the guarantee point here or the hunt? But we're going to try ahead and try to get the hunt. So if we get 2 hunts, that would work. But we got 1 hunt in the situation.
So let's figure out the difficulty.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is just kind of pre-can this a little bit to kind of show you how the runes explode. So sorry about that. You're going to run into a couple of problems here.
Dang.
We drew a red rune, which actually matches the previous chapter. So we're going to draw 1 more rune.
So let's say I draw this one as my second one. Bang.
So
Is that the I one?
yeah, that is.
Wow.
So look at that.
Upside down. Cool.
You drew the Ice Ace rune,
Yes.
which means your hunt is now worth 2.
Yes.
But you need 5 to succeed. So because you failed, what it means is you're going to take an amount of essence damage equal to the amount of runes that were drawn.
Which I drew 2.
So you drew 2 runes. So starting with the cards that you've already played, those would be lost to wounds. And you failed. So now we narrate how your character failed.
But is there a way for someone to help me? Like you said before, you could help me.
If there was another player at the table, so it wasn't just the storyteller and you, someone could actually burn one of their helper tokens. So let's assume someone else was narrating this. I could say, you know what, I'm going to come in and instead of hunting them, because I don't think I'm very good at hunting, maybe I'm going to do speak wise. And I'm going to try to talk them into calming down, just diffuse the situation and talk them into helping us out. So I have 1 speak wise. That was a bad choice. I don't even have more in this deck. So I reduced the difficulty by 1 more, which means we've gotten 2 successes here plus 1 from here. We're still shy 2 successes. It means I'm going to take the damage as well. I've entered into the risk of joining the scene here and helping, which means I'm going to be losing 2 cards as well.
Yeah. So we lose our runes. We'll tell a story on how we lost. So I was chasing after it, hunting. I was hunting after it. Unfortunately, my hunting skills were not so good. So when I threw my spear, I may have missed and slipped at the same time and actually stabbed myself.
And I probably fell on your spear.
At the same time.
At the same time.
So we actually lose our runes here as well. He lost one of his tokens. So that's basically how the chapter would end, right? We would go, because it was only us 2.
Yeah, so it would be the second chapter. And normally you play at about like maybe 5-6 chapters. Depends on the amount of time you have.
Yeah.
And one of the nice things here is you get this kind of RPG experience in a very short amount of time. You could end up weaving a really fun tale, and we're kind of doing a really simplified story here just to get through the mechanics. But you can weave a very complex tale with a lot of action, a lot of resolution in like 30, 45 minutes. You don't need to sit down and have like an RPG experience of 4 hours. You can get a lot done in very little time with Vanagard.
Yeah. Let's also talk about the fortunes real quick, because we did actually finish the combat in that situation. And let's say hypothetically this is like a future round and I actually level up. I get 5 fortune. So I can either spend that on an item or on a spell, which should be in the same pile.
Exactly. Right? So you've got spell cards and treasure cards. And spell cards and treasure cards have runes on them.
Yes.
And so they work similarly to how your talent cards work in terms of rune matching. However, there are 2 differences. To use a treasure card, you would have to describe how it works for you, and it would add 2 extra successes by expending this. So you would flip it over saying it's been used for this story, and the story is multiple chapters. So you have to use these judiciously. However, if this matches any of the chapter cards, then all of a sudden this is worth 4 instead of 2. Sometimes you're going to wait and use it later in the game when things get a lot dicier, and this is going to be worth even more if you can get that pairing.
So how do spells work?
The way spells work is slightly differently. What you would do then is take the runes that are already drawn. You cannot use runes that are in your deck, and you would burn one of these runes, sending it through that spell, and that would generate 2 successes. So I could burn both of these cards and generate 4 successes. Or if any of these runes, any of the chapter cards match the runes that are on the spell, each essence card you burn, kind of sacrificing some of your essence to power the spell, it's worth 3 successes instead of 2 successes.
So do I lose these forever or only for that round?
For the story, yeah.
Okay,
so when you end up losing when you take damage in any way, shape, or form by failing a challenge or channeling a spell, these are gone for the story. If you end up losing your essence, there are 2 ways that you can recover it. If you're completely knocked out, let's say you've lost your last essence cards from your deck, you are forced to sit out on the next chapter and rest. and a rest action is going to give you all of your cards back.
Cool.
Or optionally, if you are getting low, but the team needs your talents for this next chapter, someone, including yourself, you could burn one of these helper tokens, and what happens is you're going to heal an amount of cards equal to your destiny.
Ah, so basically you can heal 2. So if you take 2, you can heal 2. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
You got it. So that's pretty much the game in a nutshell. There are ways to level up and gain, double talent cards. So you can upgrade the talent cards that you have. There are some double rune treasures as well. And the game will be producing more of those treasure and spell cards. Now, the last thing we need to talk about are challenge cards. So sometimes a group of friends is going to get together to play, and someone's going to be very shy. They just won't have, stage fright. They don't want to weave a story. They're unsure of themselves. So we've produced challenge cards where one of those types of players can actually read out what the scene entails. And then if they choose one of these talents, the card will specify exactly how many talents they need of how many successes they need of a given talent. So that's the last component of the game board. Of the game besides the game board. And the game board is there for inspiration. A lot of times players are going to have just a lot of fun pointing to different locations in Vanagard in terms of where you want to go, what you want to do. And it's all beautifully illustrated by our artist Kevin Nichols, who put little creatures running around in the forest and whatnot, and the kids absolutely adore this as a springboard for their adventures.
That's great. So this game can be played with young kids as well as anybody who's around our age. So that's pretty cool. Very nice game. All right, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to get notified by any future updates. And hit us up on Patreon. You'll get all of this content early. Until then, safe travels. Skål. Skål.